delighted to have with us here in the office today Dr. Walter Pierpaoli, who has done outstanding research in both aging and cancer and immunity, and is perhaps best known to most people around the world for his work with melatonin. Indeed, many people have bought his books, The Melatonin Miracle and The Key of Life, and some people refer to him as Dr. Melatonin, even though of course he's involved in many different research, because perhaps he's made himself most famous in this field. So we're going to be very pleased today to be talking a little bit about melatonin with Dr. Pierpaoli. And if I may, first of all, Doctor, could I ask you to please remind us of the use of melatonin in the body?
Melatonin is secreted by the pineal gland during the night. It is produced by other tissues, but in the night only the pineal gland. Why it is produced by the pineal gland? It gives a message of the night, so to the whole hormonal system, to the pituitary gland, to the hypothalamus. Is an intricate feedback mechanism. But the melatonin being produced by pineal gland only in the night produce a night peak in the healthy young person between 1 and 3 a.m. in the early morning, when you sleep, sound deep sleep, healthy sleep, and will maintain hormonal cyclicity, which is depending on the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is a signal. This is a signal because in many pathologies there is no night peak of melatonin, which is obvious because they derive from hormonal derangement. If there is no night peak of melatonin, you are going to develop all kinds of diseases, or is expression that you are sick, that you have cancer, you have arteriosclerosis that is being published. Therefore, the night peak of melatonin is important for protecting not the pineal gland, but protecting the whole hormonal system from which regulates immunity and all kinds of functions in the body.
So it improves our circadian rhythms, our day-night cycle. And how does that help us? How does circadian rhythm, if it's synchronized correctly, how would that help us?
It helps us. Without synchronization, you are dead. Because, of course, every cell, atom, molecule in the body depends on circadian cyclicity. Because the day-night regulation, the intersynchronization of hormone is fundamental for the regulation of everything, including immunity, which is totally depending. The lymphocyte, the cells in the body, in the bone marrow, they are all depending on hormonal intersynchronization. I say intersynchronization, not only synchronization, because the hormone have a cyclicity, but they are intersynchronized. It's a fine network of mechanisms which is fundamental for maintenance of all function. And without this protection of the pineal gland, which is producing melatonin, the orchestra director will give a wrong signal to the hormonal system, to the endocrine glands. The main of it is the pituitary gland, the hypophysis, producing all main hormones. There will be a total upsetting, resulting in alteration of regulation of immunity, and then loss of self-control and emergence of all kinds of diseases, including arteriosclerosis and cancer.
I see, yes, that's fascinating. So, as I understand it, the pineal is acting as the conductor of the endocrine system, a bit like a conductor of an orchestra.
True.
And the melatonin is protecting the pineal. And so,
yes,
with the correct circadian rhythms, we have the correct hormonal cyclicity, and with the correct hormonal cyclicity, we have good immunity. And with good immunity, we have protection from diseases.
That is hard to think about emergence of diseases if you maintain the juvenility of the neuroendocrine immune system.
Yes.
And hormonal interplay,
yes,
which is regulating all functions. It's hard to believe to the emergence of diseases,
yes,
and even to progression, early progression of aging.
I see. So this obviously makes it very fundamental.
Yes.
And so I suppose I may ask the question, Dr. Pierpaoli, do you recommend, therefore, melatonin supplements for everybody?
Yes, of course. It can be from early age, from children, nervous children, sleepless children. I recommend melatonin as a universal, general remedy for prevention of diseases and of aging at all levels for everybody, because it's well known that melatonin the body doesn't produce night melatonin, the pineal gland, for example, in many degenerative diseases and cancer. So it means it is really signal for health, the night peak of melatonin. So in order to prevent any surprise, to avoid surprises, as being completely without any side effect, even if you swallow it in spoons, full spoons will not produce any side effect, will be rapidly eliminated, but will cover during the night, protect the pineal gland, which will go to rest and will not have to work. This is a basic principle, and maintain his capacity to regulate the endocrine system, all other hormonal function, via this system protecting the pineal gland.
Thank you. So I suppose, especially in certain countries like the United States, we've seen an explosion of melatonin supplements, including versions like time-released and sublingual. What's your opinion of these supplements?
I think it is a mystery to me and a disaster for people, because if you take melatonin, which is not producing a night peak, as I have explained, between 1 and 3 in the early morning, melatonin not only will not protect the pineal gland, but will disrupt hormonal cyclicity, having the opposite effect. You may be sleepy, but you will not be healthy again, because if you take for a longer time. The sublingual melatonin will be immediately taken into the blood and will give an early peak and will disrupt hormonal cyclicity, because we not produce it during the night. If you take a slow release, even worse, because it will give a plateau which will maintain artificial high level of melatonin for hours, which is the opposite of what we want. We want a night peak mimicking the physiological night peak of melatonin, and that is what we want to achieve. So I consider that 99.9% of melatonin brands in the world are not only as useless, but they are dangerous.
Oh gosh, that's fascinating information. So tell us, Dr. Pierpaoli, how do we achieve this bioidentical response, the same as the pineal, the night peak as you speak of? What kinds of melatonin should we be using?
Well, when I saw after the publication of Melatonin Miracle, they were producing and selling so many melatonin in the United States, mainly at the beginning, and now also in Europe, I was very worried, because it was evident nobody had understood the meaning, or didn't care about it, provided they could sell it. So I have elaborated my own formula, which was done in Zurich, in the company in Switzerland in 1897, and we have studied how to produce a formulation of melatonin which would give a night release between 1 and 3 a.m. So this trick was obtained by combining different excipients which are released, allow the release of melatonin at that time of the night. And in addition, I must say, we have done a lot of studies on zinc and immunity. And melatonin zinc is a part of 200 enzymes. 200 enzymes in the body depend on zinc. When you age, your zinc is lowering. You can eat as much as you want, it's not taken up. Melatonin will normalize the level of zinc during aging. By adding zinc to melatonin, you have a bomb, a biological bomb for the protection of the body from immunosenescence, for example. And so I think that this combination, zinc and selenium, is really the key for maintaining health.
Thank you. I know as a pharmacist that we have many people who use melatonins, and a lot of them don't get the experiences that they're looking for. and I tell them not to give up. I tell them you have to try Dr. Pierpaoli's brands, which by the way are known as Melatonin Zn Se and also as MZS. These are the brands that you formulated yourselves and that you're speaking of. And I know from my experience that these patients come back and they thank us for trying your melatonins because they do get the results. So we do appreciate all the work that you've done. May I ask you as a final question, Dr. Pierpaoli, what's your opinion? What's the future of melatonin?
Well, if I can see from my patients taking melatonin, and from over centenarians, even in my family, and some patients over 100, I can see that without melatonin they wouldn't be there. And so the emergency of melatonin in this planet has taken by surprise not only the doctors, not at all, but the basic scientists, the scientists working in the field. It was a great surprise. And then there was a wave of opposition, of denigration, of mystification. At the end, it generated enormous confusion about the significance of melatonin. This is more a political issue. It's only a political issue. It's not a scientific issue. It's not a medical issue. So I think the future of melatonin, you asked, that everybody should take melatonin, but the right one. I'm not making promotion of melatonin. Simply, I am a doctor, and I would like to protect everybody who wants to take melatonin. And then I think better they start earlier than later, when they have already diseases related to aging or hiding aging.
Yes. Thank you very much. I certainly look forward to the day when melatonin is as well known as aspirin. Thanks so much for your time,
Yes,
Dr.
sure.
Pierpaoli.